IGCSE Biology 0610, Paper 2, Variant 2, October-November 2025. And in this video, we are going to discuss from question number 15 to 27. Start with question number 15. So question number 15 is the diagram shows the human digestive system. Where do cholera bacteria cause the secretion of chloride ions? Now they have labeled 4 parts of the digestive system. A is esophagus, and B is stomach, and C is anus already labeled, and D is the small intestine. And students, you know the Vibrio cholera. The bacteria multiply in the small intestine and produce a toxin chlorogen. See, this toxin stimulates the cells lining the small intestine to actively secrete chloride ions into the lumen. So this creates a low water potential in the gut, causing water to move out of the blood by osmosis, leading to severe watery diarrhea. So in this way, D is the correct option. Now question number 16 is, which row describes what happens when breathing in? So what happens when we breathe in? So diaphragm will contract and flattens downward. So it increases the vertical column of the chest cavity. So it will contract. Now, the second is external costal muscles. So the external costal muscles, they contract to pull the rib cage upwards and outwards, increasing the side to side and front to back volume. So keep in mind, when the diaphragm contract, the external intercostal muscles will contract. Or when diaphragm relax, so the external intercostal muscles also relax. So here in this case, when we breathe in, the diaphragm contracts. So with this, the external intercostal muscles also contract. So according to this, A is the correct option. Question number 17 is there, and question number 17 is, a person exercised vigorously for 1 minute and then rested for 1 hour. Which statement about lactic acid are correct? So, you know that during exercise, lactic acid is produced in the muscles and diffuse into the blood. Yes, it happens when we do the vigorous exercises. The anaerobic respiration takes place, and due to anaerobic respiration, lactic acid is produced uh, and it diffuses into the blood. So anaerobic respiration is overworked muscle cells produce lactic acid, which then diffuses bloodstream to be cleared. So this statement is correct. The second statement is, the blood transport lactic acid to the liver. Yes, it happens. That is, the blood transport lactic acid to the liver. So the circulatory system carries the lactic acid away from the muscles to the liver for metabolic processing. Lactic acid is broken down by anaerobic respiration. Lactic acid breakdown needs oxygen, so it cannot take place by anaerobic respiration. So third statement is wrong. Only 1 and 2 statements are correct. So B is the correct option. Question number 18 is there, and question number 18 is, the diagram shows the parts of the nervous system involved in a reflex arc. So which letter identify a synapse? And students, you know, a gap between the two neurons is called as synapse. So here you can see sensory, sensory neuron, and the gap is between relay and motor neuron. So the gap between them is the synapse. So D point directly to the junction inside the gray matter of the spinal cord where the sensory neuron meets the relay neuron. So it indicates the answer is D. And A indicates the sensory neuron as I have written. B points to a receptor in the cells, and C indicates the motor neuron. So D is the correct option. Now question number 19 is there, and question number 19 is a person looks at a distant object in a dark area. The person then moves to a bright area and looks at a near object. So which statement describes some of the changes that takes place in the person's eye? The circular muscles of the first option is the circular muscles of the iris contract, the pupil constricts, the ciliary muscles relax, and the lens get thicker. So this statement is not correct. This statement is not correct because in this case, in this statement, it has to some of the change takes place in the person's eye. Bright area and look at a near object. Near object. So first of all, it is moving from a dark to a bright area, and secondly, switching from a distant object to a near object. So when it moving from a dark to a bright area, to protect the retina from the too much light, the pupil must constrict. The pupil must constrict. So this is achieved by when the circular muscles of the iris contract and the radial muscles relax. So here they have ciliary muscles relax. There should be radial muscles. So this statement is not correct. The radial muscles of the iris relax, the circular muscles of the iris and the pupil constrict, and the lens get thinner. Lens, when to focus on a near object, the light rays need to be bent more sharply. So the ciliary muscles contract, which slackens the suspensory ligament. This allows the elastic lens to bulge and become thicker, not thinner. So according to this, this is not the correct option. Now the radial muscles of iris relax. Yes, pupil constrict, the ciliary muscles contract, and the lens get thicker. So according to this, C is the correct statement. Now the D statement is the radial muscles of the iris relax, the pupil dilates. Pupil should not dilate, it constrict, and ciliary muscles should contract. So D is not the correct option. Only C is the correct option over here. Now question number 20 is there, and question number 20 is, which effect does adrenaline have on blood glucose concentration and pulse rate? Adrenaline, it is secreted by the adrenal glands. So blood glucose concentration actually adrenal glands and adrenaline is the fight or flight hormone, which is released during stress, excitement, or dangerous situations. Its job is to rapidly prepare the body for immediate physical action. So blood glucose concentration increases. Adrenaline triggers the liver to convert stored glycogen into glucose. releasing it into the blood to provide extra energy for respiring muscles. Secondly, the pulse rate also increases. So the heart beat faster and harder to pump this oxygen and glucose-rich blood to the muscles as quickly as possible. So therefore, both parameters increases, making B the correct option. A, B, C are not. It will increase, it will also increase. Now question number 21 is there, and question number 21 is, the diagram shows an experiment using two wheat shoe tips X and Y. So which statement is supported by the evidence provided by this experiment? In one, shoe tip has been removed after 2 days in even light. You can see the growth of the X and the Y. So here in this case, the diagram shows an experiment using two wheat shoots. So it has grown. Why it has grown? We will, first of all, we will read these four options. Auxins moves through the plant by osmosis. Auxins will not move by osmosis because it is hormone which is directly poured into the secretion. Auxin is made in the shoot tip. Yes, auxin is produced over there. So auxin is unequally distributed in response to light. Option C is also incorrect. Even because the shoots are placed in even light from above, so there is no unilateral light stimulus to cause unequal distribution. Auxin inhibits cell elongation, it increases cell elongation. So only B is the correct option over here. A, C, and D are not the correct option. Now move towards the question number 22. Which action would help to limit the development of antibiotic resistance in bacteria? So use antibiotics frequently to prevent infection by antibiotic resistant bacteria. It would drastically increase antibiotic resistance by continuously wiping out susceptible bacteria and leaving only resistance one to multiply. So this is not correct. Use antibiotics only to treat bacterial infections. Yes, it is because you know that it is very much important that overusing or misusing antibiotics accelerates the natural selection of resistant mutant strains. So, limiting their use strictly to confirmed bacterial infections reduces the selection pressure on bacteria, slowing down the spread of resistance. So, B is the correct option. C is use antibiotics to treat all type of infections. No, this is too broad, treating all types of infections. So treating viral or fungal infections with antibiotics, which is completely ineffective, and you can see wastage. And now D, use antibiotic only viral infections. Viruses are not uh, controlled or avoided by these antibiotics. They need antiviral medicines. So B is the only correct option in question number 22. Now question number 23 is there, and question number 23 is, what is an example of asexual reproduction? So a single bacterium dividing to produce two genetically identical bacteria. Yes, one bacterium is divided in two. A mammal giving birth to four offsprings. This is sexually reproduced. Reproduction takes place in mammals. A female bird laying 6 eggs, which will hatch into the same species. Birds laying eggs. So A tomato plant producing fruits which contain many seeds. Again, plants produce seeds via flowers and pollination, and the sexual reproduction takes place in them. So, why A is correct, as A involves only a single parent and results in offsprings that are genetically identical to the parents. So, bacteria reproduce asexually via a process which is called as binary fission. So, A is the correct option. Now, question number 24 is there, and question number 24 is the diagram shows part of the two different plants. One and two of the same species. The transfer of pollen between the flowers of these two plants is shown by the arrow labeled P and Q. So, which arrow shows cross-pollination and which transfer of pollens from produce the most variation in the offsprings? So, cross-pollination is from, here you can see, first of all, I would like to tell what is cross-pollination. Is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a flower on one plant to the stigma of the flower on a different plant of the same species. So the arrow P shows the pollens moving from plant 1 to plant 2. You can see over here. So it is P, cross-pollination, and whereas the other transfer of pollens that produces the most variations in the offsprings, that is the movement from the, again P, from one plant to the other plant. So in this way there will be the variations. So here I would like to say uh, A option, P is only, because it is the same plant which has two flowers, but these are two different plants. So when there will be movement of these pollen grains from the one plant to the other, so it will be the cross pollination, and variations will produce in that case only, because they will have the different characteristics. Now, which substance, so according to this, A is the correct option. Now I'm moving towards the question number 25, and question number 25 is, which substance is a hormone that is involved in the development and regulation of male secondary sexual characteristics? So insulin hormone produced by the pancreas that regulated blood glucose level, and glucagon is another pancreatic hormone that raises the blood glucose levels. So it breaks down into glucose. Insulin maintains the, you can say, glucose. Lactase is an enzyme, not a hormone, that breaks down lactose sugar into milk. So testosterone is the primary male sex hormone. This is the male sex hormone, which is produced by the testes and is responsible for developing male secondary sexual characteristics. So according to this, D is the correct option. Now, question number 26. So question number 26 is, which statement describes the net direction of movement of a substance across the placenta? Carbon dioxide moves from the mother's blood to the fetus blood. So this is wrong because the carbon dioxide should move from the fetus towards the mother. So this statement is not correct. Glucose moves from the fetus blood to the mother's blood. Again, you can see that points to the this is wrong. So glucose glycogen is a large insoluble storage and does not cross the placenta at all, so it will not move. Glycogen and glucose, see again. So because they are from the mother, it will not cross. Urea moves from the fetus blood to the mother blood. Yes, mother is responsible to remove this waste, metabolic waste product, which is produced by the fetus. So it must cross the placenta into the mother's bloodstream to be excreted by her kidneys. So D is the correct option. A is the wrong side movement. Glucose is again from the mother to fetus, and glucagon, glycogen, very large molecule, cannot cross the placenta, so this is wrong. Only D is the correct option. So the diagram shows the human female reproductive system, which labeled identify the uterus. So here A is the ovary, B is the oviduct or fallopian tube, and C binds to the uterus or womb, and D is the cervix, which is between the uterus and the vagina. So D is the correct option. Sorry, I have circled the wrong one. They have asked about uterus, so C is the correct option. So it was all about from question number 15 to 27. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel to watch more videos on other papers. Thanks for watching.